But scared? Yeah. Yeah, I get scared.
Yeah, I understand. Have you ever actually broken into a sweat when you get to that point? A
Oh, yeah.
physical reaction?
Oh, yeah.
Something
Absolutely.
preventing you from going forward?
I actually do. In fact, when I'm very often when I'm writing it, my hands get clammy, and I think, oh boy, what am I doing? and then
Wow.
so yeah, I get an actual physical reaction, and yeah, I'm scared sometimes.
Can you give me an example of something that you've written that scares you, or some
Oh,
topic
sure.
that scares you?
Um, it's a little scary to write about sexuality. If, for instance, if I write a poem about women having sex with women, readers think, aha, she's a lesbian. Or if I write a poem about men having sex with women, readers think, well, she's strictly heterosexual. And the truth is that for me, nice, sweet sex is lovely with either one. I've made love with women and I've made love with men, and each person I've ever been with has taught me something valuable, a truth about the world or about myself that I think is valuable enough to be shared in a poem. If you'd like,
Yeah, excellent.
yeah, I have a
I
poem.
would love.
Yeah, here's a poem that gave me clammy hands. It's called Women.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's called Women and Men I Have Loved Before I Loved You and Why I Loved Them. And this is from the book After the Earthquake. Men and women I have loved before I loved you and why I loved them. I loved Virginia because she was tan and had muscles and could run fast and played with the boys. And Patty because she wore a red dress with white lace and her hair was black and curled and the little boys tried to kiss her. And Paul because he lived up the street from me for 10 years. And Neil because he lived down the street from me for 10 years. And Robert because he took pictures of drab and homely things. And Leslie because she smelled like apricots and loved cowboy boots. And Edward because where he touched me, he left stars instead of bruises and put music where there was pain. I loved Ted because he danced so slowly with me I felt sleepy. And I loved some poet because he was famous, and another poet because he was famous too. I loved my Uncle Al because he looked like Clark Gable and had to have his shoes specially made for him. They were that narrow. And I loved Sharon Stone and her gal Roxy from Basic Instinct because they were hard and sexual and didn't care what anybody thought. I loved Grace and wanted her for her sweet southern speech and her knowing eyes. And I loved a songwriter because his hair was soft as black silk and he kissed me as if each kiss would be his last. I loved Chrissy Hine because I wanted to be her, and my cousin Terry because he was the only guy under 45 and on vacation to visit family in Ohio. I loved Dory because she loved me, and I loved Kelson because I was far away and no one would know, except Barbara, whom I also loved. I loved them all in the only way I knew, with my eyes and mouth and the terrible truth of my imperfect body. Later, when I'd had my fill of them, I slept and was led in a dream to you.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you think your courage has changed over the years?
Yeah, I'm more courageous now. I'm less afraid of what everyone will think. I think I sort of like have not done a whole lot of damage control, and so I'm not. It's like everything I've done, most people that know me have seen me do it, and it's sort of like I just move on. I just keep pushing forward, and the times that I have not been particularly courageous, I have the backup of wonderful people who help me be courageous. My husband.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
yeah, it is.
Okay, what about you're a woman of over 50
Yes,
and you're writing about sexuality, your own sexuality.
yes.
How do people take it from you? Do you think that people react easier because you're an older woman?
Well, I don't know. It's very scary to be a certain woman of a certain age, because this is a society here that hates aging even more than it hates war. But I write about that because I want other women to know that they're not afraid and alone, that we're in it together, and all of us of a certain age, we're all scared. I have a poem about women being scared of aging, or how it's.
Excellent.
So I'll read it for you. It's
Excellent.
it's called 60-something female poet writing to her country in the first decade of a new millennium. Can you please start passion's engine again so we can climb aboard? Can you invite even those with motion sickness? They will come if invited, heads over the side, gaily puking trepidation, happy to be included. Will you let us revisit desire, view it in all its incarnations, as an ache in the skeleton, as contemptuous recognition, as weakness, as madness, as religion, as disease? It still blossoms inside us, regardless of cosmetics' effectiveness. I understand the bias. I see the stuff that lives in people's eyes and throats when they look at me and compare the numbers. Thinking of this, I lie awake, especially on those nights when the moon, a great jaundiced eye, hangs on a silver chain, stirring my chest's heat, stirring its dust. In the mirror, my deranged haircut looks out at me. I am drawn out and back into myself. I accept the image, but not the implication. If I speak persuasively on behalf of us all, will you crave us? Will you embrace our thin-skinned bodies? Dedicate yourselves to allowing us our beauty? We can still be ignited. We can still burn.
Yes, that's
thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so now a question.
Yeah.
At a certain point, do you ever censor yourself? Do you ever say, no, I won't go past this line?
Absolutely. Some secrets have to remain secrets. Although every secret has its time, yes. But I will say this. Very often, the things we keep most silent about are the things we should talk about, and vice versa. But yeah, there are things that I have not said and may not say.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I wonder if they'll ever get said one day.
Yeah, I think every secret has its
About
time.
all of us, I wonder.
Yeah, I mean everyone.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you said.
I think every secret maybe has its time, and maybe not even in this lifetime. I don't know. But yeah, I keep some things to myself.
That's really interesting. In terms of how you project yourself, I feel a very strong inner authority, inner confidence. How do you let that out and let that take over the page?
Well, I think my inner confidence comes from the knowledge that there is so much I don't know or understand. My poems are often about questions I ask myself on a daily basis. I was not as confident a few years ago when I thought that I was supposed to know the answers to more things. But now, more and more, I'm aware of what I don't know.